What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu. Label free. To live your best life, you must live label free. And we're back with another incredible guest. My next guest is an artist he paints wildlife art. He's been highlighted in galleries across the country. He also owns Corwin Galleries. Please welcome James Corwin. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. I love talking. I don't have too many artists on. I've had a couple, but
Mhm.
not a lot. And it's always the ones that have been able to figure out a balance between the business
Mm.
and staying tapped into their creativity, artistic side. And I always think that this is a good episode because it really helps others out there that might be struggling with that balance, kind of teaches them a little bit.
Absolutely.
So I know when we first had our initial call, you talked about that, like you about how that
Mhm.
you were able to become successful as an artist, and and not a lot of people are able to do that. So can you maybe like walk us through what makes you different in that regards to other
Sure.
artists?
Yeah, and I think this can really apply to whether you're an artist or a business owner in anything creative. I always had a passion for business when I was young. I
Oh,
knew
wow.
I wanted to own my own business. I dabbled
That's
in
so
different
different than
things.
other artists, though. So different. I don't ever hear
Yes,
that from other artists.
I know.
Okay,
I
sorry.
I don't know what came first. Was it the passion for business or the passion for art? Um, I was always a creative person. I remember one of my earliest businesses. I tried raising monarch butterflies for
Oh,
wedding releases,
cool.
which is so. It's always, I suppose, I've had interest in animals and just being in nature and growing up in the mountains of Montana. So when I realized I could paint
Yeah.
at in high school, that's when I thought, maybe this is something that I can do.
Yeah.
And though I didn't really believe that I could make it a full-time career, I got a
Yeah.
degree in art education as a fallback
Sure.
degree, just in case it didn't work. But with a lot of encouragement and, of course, studying business profusely, as I still do today,
Okay.
I've been able to make it work. And I believe anyone can really do it with
Yeah.
the right, focus and diligence to
Yeah.
making it actually happen because what you put in is what you get out.
Yeah. I think the key word there is focus. And I
Yeah.
think maybe like creatives, and I struggle with
Hmm.
this too a little bit myself. I think the difference is for me is I'm just so driven. And so like
Hmm.
that's why I think business is a little bit stronger for me is that like, but I do lose focus sometimes. And I know a lot of creativity, a lot of creative people, because I have a lot of friends that are creative, artistic, and they lack sometimes that focus because they are so caught up in other things and in
Hmm.
that creative process, right? You don't want to lose that,
Yes.
you don't want to lose that flow, especially if you're in it. And
Oh, yeah.
so, you can get overwhelmed, right, with that
Hmm.
balance.
Absolutely. And for me, I feel like I'm channeling that creativity
Hmm.
into my business as well. In
Oh,
the
nice.
business, it's almost like I am crafting this painting that never ends.
Oh, wow.
So
I like
it's
that.
there's so many nuances to tweak because I'm looking more at numbers
Yeah.
and of course my relationships I have with my customers and the product that I'm creating, the artwork and all these components and how they work together to create this beautiful picture that is the brand, that's the business. And when one thing isn't working, it's a time to look more deep into what's the problem and try and fix that. And that takes creativity.
Yeah.
So I'm always excited to work on both aspects of what I do, both the painting and the business.
Sure.
And in terms of focus, for me, it's almost where do I allocate my time each day? Is it painting or is it working on the business
Mm,
because both are valuable. And
yeah.
fortunately, I've been able to hire people and build a team that can help execute those aspects of the business. But initially, I created the framework to be able to delegate that.
Yeah. No, I love that. And so you said there was like a something you said there that the painting, the endless painting, painless the painting that never stops.
Yeah,
That was great. Like you need to put that quote somewhere for yourself because that was a great
absolutely.
statement. Um, what came first, like becoming the artist or the gallery?
The artist.
Yeah.
I never really intended to have a gallery.
Oh,
It
okay.
came out of necessity for space. In my home, we had overtaken three of the four bedrooms
Oh,
with
wow.
studio space and offices for the employees, and the garage became a warehouse
Oh,
for
wow.
packing and shipping. And it was pretty evident, obviously, that I needed to get a space that's not my home.
Yeah.
And it made sense to me to get a building that had a retail space to it because I'm in the retail business
Yeah.
and a space for us to work. So a building came on the market in Hamilton, Montana, where I was living at the time, and acquired that building. And we all moved into there and had the studio spaces, running the gallery. And a few years later, moved up to Missoula, Montana, where I live
Yeah.
now, but still have the gallery running. But I live and work out of my home.
Wow, how lucky are you though? I think like that's a dream of probably a lot of artists, right? Is to be able to
Yes,
have such a thriving business like that that you'd have to buy that space. I think that's true for
absolutely.
forget being an artist, any
Sure.
entrepreneur, right? Anyone that starts a
Right.
business out of their home is like that's their ultimate goal, like their dream to get some brick and mortar so that they can like move it out of their home. And it's like, I think in some ways, I'm speaking for myself as an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, it almost makes you real legit,
Yes. Yeah.
you know?
I like that. Yeah, it's a good form of branding because I have a lot of people that will literally visit Montana just to visit the gallery from other states, or they're passing through and they want to make a point to visit the gallery. So that's always exciting for me to
Yeah.
know it's attractive to the people who like my art.
So we'll get into where people can visit you, your websites and everything,
Mhm.
and we'll have it here on the screen. But the gallery on your, it just looks beautiful. Absolutely
Thank
stunning.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. It's always an ongoing development, kind of like that painting. I'm
Yes.
always finding ways to improve the experience, improve the art,
Yeah.
and ultimately, um, part of that experience is how you feel when
Yeah.
you enter the gallery.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. I would love to visit one day. Why
Thank you.
wildlife for you?
Oh man, I used to paint landscapes and went to Africa for the first time and was
Oh,
completely blown away by the wildlife there. It's larger than life and so inspiring. And when I came home, I began painting wildlife and haven't stopped. I find with wildlife, I can tell more of a story and create more emotion for my artwork. And what people have told me they feel from my art is that it's very emotionally driven. And when
and
I'm
that's what you want. That's what
crafting,
you want to evoke.
exactly.
You want to evoke emotion when you're creating something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how the ideas develop.
Yeah.
And I find wildlife, we can personify ourselves
Mm.
in that animal through the eyes or the expressions, for
Yeah.
example.
Well, I saw the one picture of all the buffaloes.
Yes,
That
I love that one.
like it feels so real.
Yes, yeah. And cold and raw.
Yes,
It's
yes.
winter and there's mist and you can feel the temperature. And yeah, it's a winner. A lot of people really love that piece. I was very happy with that one.
So how many pieces have you created or painted in your life? Do you know?
Wow. I don't. That's a great question. I should know. It's It's not very many during a year. I think
Okay.
last year I painted maybe 19 new original paintings.
Oh, wow.
I would like to paint more, but I found too the rarity and exclusivity of less pieces have really helped drive up my sales for
Oh, yeah.
pieces, but also created interest in the limited edition prints that I do as well.
Look at
So,
you. Smart.
yeah.
Smart. I love it.
So maybe I should keep it a little more rare.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have to do a lot in the beginning to build up our name, right? Build up our
Yeah,
brand. And then as we get a
exactly.
little bit more well known, like the exclusivity, we make it a little bit more
Hmm.
rare, not as often. And I
Hmm.
feel like that is a staple in anyone that's building a brand or an identity, like as an artist or whatever.
Hmm.
And so I love that. Even designers. They got their
Yes.
limited edition pieces that are collectors. I got some Gucci
Oh,
bags in the safe that
absolutely.
are that have been
Love that.
collabs with some artists that they are
Oh,
stunning. Like they will probably always
I
maintain
bet.
their value and just,
Hmm.
it's not a typical Gucci bag.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
And
I
that's
sound like these are
how
like
art
first
is.
world
Yeah.
problems, but I
No,
mean,
I love it.
I don't get to wear them too often because I don't want to mess them up, but you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
absolutely.
Do you have a favorite piece, like a favorite painting?
I do. I have a few.
Okay. What's your first
There's
one?
there's the rhino. So I only have the print because I sold the original, but I
Okay.
still have the print of it hanging above my bed. And
Mm.
it's the rhino that I painted, the first animal that I painted when I came back from
Oh,
Africa.
cool.
That
Okay.
was way better than any landscape painting I had done since, and it sold for more than I had sold any painting for before. That was the trigger point where I was realized I need to paint wildlife.
Yeah.
And there's another small original of a landscape, also Africa, interestingly enough, but I consider it the best landscape I have painted
Cool.
because prior to that, my landscapes were not very good. I still struggle to paint a good landscape.
Huh. Your strength is the animals. And you said third, you have
Yeah.
three? There's one more?
Oh, well, sure. I have other ones that I just hang periodically because they match my home really well and the
Oh, there you go.
decor, but I'm not too attached to them. If somebody wants to buy it, then great, I'll put something else up.
There you go. I love that. So let's talk about all the artists. So you've got just not only yourself in your gallery, but you have a
Hmm.
long list. I was looking at that list. I was like, holy cow, he's got a lot of artists that you feature or they
Hmm.
are.
Hmm.
So how does that work with the gallery? I really don't know. So if you sign
Hmm.
an artist into your gallery, is that their home base then where they sign their painting or sell their paintings, or can they go to other galleries too?
They can go to other galleries as
Okay.
well. Just like my work is represented in galleries around the country,
Right.
I specifically, and like these other artists, we target areas that we think would be good markets for our artwork
Okay.
and also galleries that have a good fit for the pieces too.
Sure.
And when I'm bringing in new artists, I'm looking for how marketable is their art? Is there an audience for what they create? And is it the same or different than other artists that I already currently have,
Sure.
and also where they are at in their career. Though I do love supporting young up and coming and emerging artists because I still feel that way
Yeah.
myself. And I just remember how important it felt to be picked up by a
Yeah.
gallery in those early days. And I just want to extend that to these other artists as well.
Absolutely. That's being very generous and like there's some humility there that is like, I know what the struggle is all about and I want to help you
Mm-hmm.
too because, life isn't easy and being an artist and creating something, you're kind of like putting yourself making things a little bit harder. And when
Mm-hmm.
someone like you
Mm-hmm.
comes around and comes along and says, "Hey, I think what you have is valuable. Let me
Mm-hmm.
represent you or whatever, or let me help you." I think that's, you are you're paying it forward.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Though I don't always encourage artists to join galleries. I think
Interesting.
for artists or just anyone who's creative, I think it's so important to put your focus into building your business and your career based on your own inputs rather than relying on your success to be determined by someone else or
Sure.
the gallery in this instance. I think a lot of artists believe early on that, oh, I just need to get into a good gallery and then I'll be set.
Yeah.
However, that's not often the case because the gallery is focusing on promoting all their artists. And I think the most important promotion you can do is just working every day on your own art and
Yeah.
getting it seen because that's going to propel your career and make it more stable than any gallery can really do for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at you. How many artists do you have? The list was like long. I was like, holy
Yeah,
cow.
I think I know it's a couple dozen for sure.
And how many pieces of art does each one of those artists have in your gallery?
2 to 3 typically.
Oh, okay. So not too many.
Yeah,
And so if
not
they
too
sell, if
many.
you sell one of theirs, do they bring a replacement?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
hopefully.
Right.
But
Yeah. Hopefully they're still
we're,
creating and working.
oh, yeah, I know. See, I even feel bad because sometimes I can't even keep my own gallery stocked. People
Yeah.
come into my gallery and are like, where's your art? Well, I don't have any new pieces they sold.
Well, that's a compliment to you.
Sure, yes, but it's hard to keep all the galleries that I'm in stocked with work when I only paint, 19 paintings a year.
Yeah. So you kind of mentioned this a little bit, like helping,
Hmm.
new artists or emerging artists. But we also, before we started recording, was talking about like that mentorship part,
Hmm.
and you being able to have those two, and when I said two different personalities, the business side and the artist side,
Hmm.
and you've been able to find a way to marry the two that's allows you to be successful, which is very rare for a lot of artists.
Right.
And that you mentioned that you occasionally like kind of mentor some of the
Hmm.
young artists. So talk to us a
Hmm.
little about what that looks like and how you help mentor them and try to maybe balance the landscape for them to understand the importance of business.
Yes, there are so many resources available for artists to just learn business. I'm listening to business podcasts and podcasts such as yours
Yeah.
all day as I'm painting. So I'm just absorbing information. There's obviously so many books that you can read as
Oh yeah.
well. And when I'm mentoring, I'm encouraging these artists to tap into this information and begin to implement it and integrate it into their daily life because I think it can be very overwhelming at the beginning to look at your career in a span and know where you want to be, but wonder how am I going to get there? And it's the whole big picture is very overwhelming.
Yeah.
But if you can really synthesize it down
Yeah.
into day to day actions, which is, okay, I'm going to read this book, I'm going to listen to this podcast, I'm going to get my art onto, I'm going to start a website, I'm going to get it onto Etsy, then I'm going to get it on Amazon, and then all these other websites to start building out my online portfolio so I get more
Yeah.
eyes on my work. And maybe I'm just posting 1 or 2 posts to Instagram a day, just talking about my work. And it's just little steps. But what is so important about this business and really any business is longevity of time. What
Sure.
I found in doing this for over a decade is how it compounds itself and every year gets better. For example, if you bring in more collectors and clients into your network each
Hmm.
year, that's more people that you have to sell your work to
Yeah.
each time you create a new piece. And while you might only get, 10 new people into that family in your first year, well, by the time you've been doing it for 10 years, you might have 1,000 people who
Oh wow. Yeah.
want to buy your work.
Yeah.
And So I encourage artists too to never give up. You just have to stick it out. If it's challenging, which I know it is because it was this way for me, to pay your bills, keep your standard of living as low as possible.
Yeah.
And I know everybody's life and situations are different. Some people have kids and you have to juggle having a part-time job, but it's so important to take the money that you do make from your business and continually reinvest it where you
Yeah.
can into growing the business. Don't be afraid to run ads. Learn how to run ads effectively or get somebody to help you, because ads have been an incredible resource for me to bring in new
Yeah.
people into my website and be able to sell work to.
I love it. Do you think, so you said you didn't think you'd ever own a gallery. Do you think a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
artists that you've like worked with, you've had the pleasure to work with your gallery, know what they want? Do they have an idea of like that vision in their head where they want to go? Or they just, because I feel like
Mm.
we I think like our desires and our goals constantly change, right? So I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
your goal
Mm-hmm.
today is way different than it was 5 years ago.
Oh yeah,
So then
absolutely.
when you were starting to take on these new artists, you said you have a couple dozen just starting to work out with
Mm-hmm.
them. Do you think that most of them have an idea of where they want to end up, or they're just kind of, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think most artists that I carry are consistent in their work and their
Okay.
style, and that's what attracted me first to their work. I like the work that they create. I think that I could sell it well through the gallery.
Okay.
But some of these younger artists, they have several different styles that they're
Mm,
working with, and it is fun too to try it out.
yeah,
And they create something new that I've they've never shown people and I've never shown in the gallery. And I'm like, yeah, let's try it out.
that's cool.
And for like one artist, it's hit really well. And he's one of our best selling artists in the
Huh?
gallery. And it was just a experimental way of painting that he wanted to try, and created
Mm,
this whole new body of work, and it's just being picked up everywhere. It's really cool.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
exciting.
Yeah,
Good
but
job, James. Good
where
job.
thank you. But where he wants to go with that, I don't know. I assume that he's enjoying the style, but
Yeah.
I also know he loves to paint more realistic and
Mm,
landscape. So he actually does both. And we
wow.
show both styles. And we
Yeah.
tell people in the gallery, this is the same artist, even though it doesn't look like it.
Wow, that's kind of cool. He
Yeah.
can make up a different name for the other one, like have two
I
different names,
know he probably should.
you
Sometimes
know?
I think about doing that. I want to do something, very contemporary, abstract, and create a pen name or something.
Wow, like how the depth and then the diversity within someone that can create like that is just very cool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So let's tell people where they can find you. And you ship your paintings all over, or so people
I
got to come to you?
do.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
where is all this awesomeness at? And when they go to your
Yes.
website, they're gonna know what I'm talking about because it just looks amazing.
Thank you. Yes, jamescorwin.com is my website.
Okay.
Corwin, kind of like that Jeff Corwin guy who
Yeah.
does not no relation. So
Wow. I didn't even
yeah.
put that together, but that was good.
I know a
Okay.
lot of people ask. But yeah, jamescorwin.com, but you can punch James Corwin into Google and
Yeah.
all sorts of websites and listings come up, and Corwin Galleries too, of course.
Perfect. You guys, I'm gonna put those links in the show notes and also here on the screen. If you're watching, you can see it right there in the corner. So if you are interested in learning more about his art and the artists that he showcases in his gallery, go click those links, go check it out. Go visit him in Montana because you'll never know. You might fall in love with a very special piece of art that you'll hang on your wall for the rest of your life. James, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
I would like to remind people to enjoy the journey and the process, because after doing this for, again, a decade, I was so focused on the goals and where I wanted to be and the vision that I feel like I missed a lot of the enjoyment in being in the everyday process. And I'm really focusing on that. And it's
Yeah.
allowed me to also be more present in my business and the business needs and being able to nurture these incredible relationships with my followers and collectors too. And it makes it so fun. I love
Yeah.
waking up every day and doing this.
Yeah. That was a great message. Allows you to be
Thank
more
you.
present. That is the key. We get so caught up in
Oh,
the
yes.
busyness that we forget to really enjoy the now, right? So
Hmm.
great words
Oh,
of
yes.
wisdom. James, so
Thank you.
excited to connect with you and hear your story and just hear like your success because there is a label, right, that's put on artists,
Hmm.
and you've
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
shattered that label with what you've
Thank
done
you.
and the success that you've achieved. And so thank you for living label free with us here today.
Thank you so much. It was a
You're welcome.
pleasure.
You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.